Welcome to a mini emergency pod with me and Andy. We're just going to throw out our reaction to the FA Cup fifth round draw, which was made not more than half an hour, 45 minutes ago, I think, Andy. Uh, First out of the hat. This has happened a couple of times recently. We were one of the first teams out the draw early doors. It was the first one out, I think, unless you tell me otherwise. But Wrexham or Blackburn will host Newcastle United in the fifth round. What was your reaction? Because I was wandering around Broughton Park trying to keep tabs on the draw. Then I managed to sit in the car, watch it, and I just let out a large bellowing growl in joy and wild anticipation. What was your first reaction to it?
Probably not as much growling. I tend to keep my growling until after the watershed. I think this is right. First off, let's not sort of talk that we've already made it through, because what we
No,
don't
but
want,
let's humour ourselves.
we will
Okay?
humour ourselves, but let's make sure that John Dal Thompson isn't playing this podcast to the Blackburn players tomorrow before the game to G them up. So yeah, we've still got a big job with Blackburn, but let's dream a little bit. My initial reactions were this game is 10 years in the making. Remember when we should have beaten Brighton and the
Yeah,
winners got to play Newcastle at
yeah,
home?
yeah.
And I always thought that's the one that got away. We haven't played Newcastle since the 70s, I don't think. Can you think of
I
a?
think we've had him in a friendly. I'm sure we've
Yeah,
had him in a pre-season friendly. But in terms of competitive, I think you're going back to the sort of late 70s, early 80s for those games. The late 70s was the whole FA Cup thing and us playing Blythe Spartans in a replay at St James's Park. So there's history there. It's kind of weird, isn't it? Because it'd be interesting to see the sort of side we would have faced 10 years ago had we beaten Brighton in that replay. But if you look at where the clubs are, both where they're now at 10 years later, 10 or 11 years later, massive transformation on the pitch for both. Obviously, they're both heading in an upwards trajectory. Obviously, Newcastle finally get to the Champions League. I'm not putting this in the same ballpark as Newcastle at all. For
mm.
me, because people will go, oh, it's Saudi sports washing money against the whole Hollywood cash, but
It is a battle of the owners, isn't it? It's a battle of what people should say is a very good ownership model against what people
questionable.
do say is a very bad ownership model. So yeah, there is that sort of element to it. If we did get through, and if Blackburn got through, it would be battle of the two bad owners. So the owners, there is an owners question around this. Imagine the media hype around it. I mean, if people are pissed off with too much Wrexham in their timelines now, imagine if we beat Blackburn and we get Newcastle. I know what you're saying about what lineups could have been 10 years ago. I said yesterday, Tim, that I was so linked to that 2013 squad. I just found it
Yeah,
probably my favourite Wrexham squad, which I know they didn't actually achieve anything in the end, but just because it was fans owned and it was such an exciting team, I really felt a part of that, and I'd love them to play a big match against Newcastle. Just one thing, I think Eddie Howe's team, because they've gone out of Europe, they're unlikely to get the top four. They're going to put a lot of purchase on the FA Cup this season because
so
their
it
owners
came so
want to
close.
win something.
Yeah,
That will be a full side, and there won't
yeah,
be any sort of mucking about there. When they
no,
come, if they come to the race course, they're going to really go all out to beat us. So
full
we
power.
shouldn't. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
and yeah, yeah, I know what you mean, and this isn't being any way disrespectful to Blackburn or indeed uh, any fan bases. But I was just thinking about this before, and I've been to Newcastle, and I've been to see Newcastle on a couple of occasions, and we're talking a long time ago now, easily 10, 15 years ago.
yeah,
And
never been.
honestly, I'm not. I mean it when I say that you'll go to an area that is literally a hotbed for football, and they absolutely live and breathe it. Like I've not. I'll go to some place and that it's just football, football, football. It's crazy.
Mm.
Like Wrexham have finally spiked that interest again amongst sort of fence sitters and people who've kind of like were disenchanted with the whole non-league years. Newcastle have always been there, even when they got relegated to the then First Division. They've always had the fan base. They've always had this. It's just, if you ever go there, you can't not notice it. It's everywhere. It's everywhere, and it's just great. And if you strip back that whole Hollywood Saudi thing, it's really a kind of a matchup for almost like a romantic game, because it's two fan bases that absolutely love their football, love it, and like Newcastle United is very much the heartbeat of that city. Always has been.
It's a one city club. Sorry, I've got that the wrong way around, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, and like, you know, you do feel a little bit sorry for like Gateshead and stuff, you know, kind of in the shadow of that. But honestly, when I went there a couple of times, I saw him play 1860 Munich and some European thing, and I saw him play Watford, and I went there in a black and white Wrexham shirt. Remember the black and white Wrexham away kit we had? It was the Gap personality.
I like that one. Yeah.
But yeah, the red logo was so out of place.
Yeah.
I went to a Newcastle game wearing that shirt. I thought, I'll just blend in. And like, clearly a couple of lads went, well, that's not Newcastle United shit. We'll ask him. So a couple of them came over and they were nice, they were hospitable. You know, they weren't like, who are you? They just asked me about it. So I told them, I said, just here to catch a game. I didn't put my hand in my pocket for the rest of that night. Honestly, nice. They were like, it was a bit like what we're doing now with welcoming Americans and every other Tom, Dick, and Harry who were supporting Wrexham now to the club. Very welcoming, open arms. Thank you for picking our team. And it's very much like that up there. They're just like, amazing. You're up here. You spent 4 or 5 hours traveling. Enjoy the game. You're with us. Let's go to the Strawberry, which is a very well-known pub right next to the stadium. It's just amazing. Honestly, I'm not kidding. Every club will have its arseholes, right? Every club will have that. But in my times going to watch Newcastle, they're just football fanatics. They're not lunatics, they're fanatics, and they're just such a great bunch. And if we get through, it'll be a delight to have them here, because they will bring more than they allocated and out, and they will help drink the place dry. You can guarantee that.
Can I just say one twinge about this? It's great that, you know, we've got the potential of a Premier League side. We've been asking for it since we sort of rekindled our interest in the cup once we finally got past the preliminary round. One thing I will say is there's a little twinge it isn't at St James's Park, because I've never been there. I'd love to experience a match there, and I don't think there'd be anything more special than seeing Wrexham there in a packed fifth round where it really means something rather than a friendly.
It's the ground's immense. I went in. I think it's the Jackie Milburn stand, and I think when I went there, I think I counted something like 46 flights of stairs to get to my seat. And when you're at the top of that stand, you can see Newcastle. You know, you can see the bridge. It's just a special place. You know, the massive club, massive history. And you know what? I haven't been on there yet, but from the early tweets that I've seen, that they seem to be quite a respectful bunch. Of course, they're going to want to have a massive tilt in that cup competition again. As you said, it's probably their best chance that represents them to get some silverware. So, yeah, but let's not count our chickens, because within 48 hours, this video could be complete shite and egg on our faces, couldn't it? So
what we'll have to do is, if we don't get through, let's just delete this video from the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Again,
enjoy
one of those 10 we
never had.
Yeah, like it never happened. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm even more excited for tomorrow's game now, which I didn't think was possible. But
I told you you'd be excited about it. I'm not fucking taking 2 days off to go to Blackburn.
Well, this is why I'm working now. This is why you can see me typing in the background. I've worked tonight, so I can go tomorrow. So, well, thank you. Thank you, BBC Wales. Ruined my Sunday night, did you?
Why is the fifth round in
midweek? Sorry?
Why is the fifth round in the midweek, by the way?
They do that every now and again, because this is when the Champions League kicks back in again. So last season they did it where they do one round midweek, and I think it's on the day, isn't it? I don't think there's a replay. So I think it goes straight to penalties, and then it will reset again because you won't lose as many fixtures because most teams will be out by the time we get to the 6th round. Wouldn't it be absolutely amazing to have Ryan and Rob there on a bouncing Wednesday night as we take on Newcastle until TV changes it to 2 p.m. on a Friday?
What'll happen is that as we've now seen yesterday, Alan Shearer in the away end at Fulham. Shearer will be in the away end at the racecourse if we got through, and Rob and Ryan will be in the tech end with us lot. Giving Shearer, where were you when you were bowled?
Where's Rob Lee?
Rob Lee is going to be in the prawn sandwiches. He loves it, Rob Lee. He's too much of a handsome man to be in the away end with us. Reprobate. Not that I'm saying Rob and Ryan are ugly, far from it, but I'm just saying Rob Lee is a true gent, fine wine of a man. So before we wrap it up, because the recent pod's not long been out, we're doing a badger with that.
Listen to that. It's good. John Curtis is on. He speaks well.
Very good. We haven't touched on Newcastle links. Obviously, Ben Tozer there. Elliot Lee's the obvious one as well.
He never. We wasn't youth team or anything there, was he? He was West Ham.
No, it was West Ham. But I think Newcastle was his boyhood club by virtue of his dad playing for him, obviously. And there's plenty of pictures of him in a Newcastle United McEwen's Lager sponsored shirt back in the day. I'm trying to think of other players. Mike Hooper would be one.
Wow, you've gone back in time there, mate. Mike Hooper.
Paul Barrett would be one.
On Paul Barrett, my mate Paul Barrett, not that one, is a massive Newcastle fan, and he's desperate to come up. So it's funny you should mention Paul Barrett. Yes, so Mike Hooper played 34 games for us and played 25 games for Newcastle. Before, get this, right? From Newcastle, he went to Sunderland on loan. They must have hated him.
That's a risk. You don't go to Sunderland on loan and come back.
I'm sorry, you just don't do it, do you?
Who else? Because I just know when we post this video, people are going to put comments. Yeah, you forgot about this guy.
Yeah. Wyn Davis seems to jump in my mind here. Let me have a look at this. Yeah, Wrexham, Bolton at Newcastle. Ronald Wyn Davis. Yeah, professional footballer. He's still alive from Carnarvon. Started with us. 55 appearances, 21 goals. Went to Newcastle, 181 appearances and 40 goals before City, United. Wow, what a career this fella had. Right, we'll have to get him on.
Didn't John Dale Thomason play for Newcastle?
He did, yes. He first came over, yeah. So that's the narrative if Blackburn gets through. We know what the narrative is if we get
the Alan Shearer derby if they get through, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's the Alan Shearer derby, and if it isn't, it's the
David Batty derby.
The David Batty, Lee Clark, Jonathan Woodgate, Shaka Hislop derby. Legendary.
What great derbies. Great derbies, all of them, especially the Shaka Hislop derby. Right.
Yeah. Right. What we all want to do, as viewers, what we all want you to do is touch this screen while you're listening to this, almost like Uri Geller-esque. You got to like touch, pray that we'll get through, and that'll work. Some sort of weird shamanic bullshit. Yeah, we've gone off piss now. I've had too much coffee.
I've gone off pissed, you more like. Right, okay.
Right.
All right.
That'll do it. Take it easy.
See ya.